Humphrey B Neill, The Ruminator Part 4, We Have to Hunt for the Good News. In the opening paragraph of a new book that I find fascinating reading about newspaperdom, we're told that to journalists gloom is their game, the spectacle their passion, normality their nemesis. This is an interesting observation of the notion I have often harped on that contrarians have to go outside the primary news stories if they wish to find out what is actually going on and wish to determine what influences may be affecting the trends or problems they are ruminating over. The bad news is always served to us hot from the source. Sensationalism makes news, serenity is boring. As Gay Talese, the author above quoted, writes, "The spectacle is the passion of the newsman." He went further, which I'll quote, as it too applies to contrarianism. Journalists travel in packs with transferable tension, and they can only guess to what extent their presence in large numbers ignites an incident, turns people on. Press conferences and cameras and microphones have become such an integral part of the happenings of our time that nobody knows whether people make news or news makes people. Gay Talese's book is about the New York Times, the subtitle telling us it is a story of the men who influence the institutions that influences the world. When you stop to think that the Times literally blankets the globe and penetrates the homes of the mighty, we accept its wide-flung readership as a demand to read it, even if many of us might wish it slanted a bit more to the right. As of the summer of 1966, the Times was read in 11,464 cities and towns around the nation, in all capitals of the world, 50 copies going to the White House, 39 to Moscow, and even a few sneaking into Peking. News bureaus are scattered everywhere, and the reporting staff reach from Wall Street to the war-torn jungles of Vietnam. I have been told it has more men covering Wall Street than the Wall Street Journal, but this may be one of those cocktail party cracks that goes around. Let me recall the remarks of my late friend Bob Crawford, that we only think we think. When we depend upon newspapers, magazines, bulletins, etc. for our information and fail to go behind the headlines, as it were. Now note what Talese says. News, if unreported, has no impact. But when reported, we feel its furious impact every day in newspapers and over the air. Our contrary task when these sudden news events happen is to immediately ask ourselves, what is the possible counter-reaction to this unexpected piece of news? The great value in reading books like The Kingdom and the Power is that they give us a close-up view of what goes on behind the newsmakers and shows us how they make the news. We have brought home to us what the title suggests, the vast power of the press and the other news media. Television today has become almost overpowering in its ability to arouse emotions and stimulate crowd reactions. Contagion and imitation have prolific partners in these times of high-intensity news. Contrary ruminating, contrary calmness, if I may call it that, can help us avoid being susceptible to the emotional pressures of the press. Let us never overlook, however, what I quoted at the beginning, that to journalists, whether by print or by air, gloom is their game, the spectacle, their passion, normality their nemesis. So it is that we find it difficult to uncover the normal. It is overshadowed by the spectacular, by the exciting, by the dangerous, by the tragic. The quiet successes are buried on page 39 or 69 or what not, perhaps alongside the obituaries.